Stop the madness. Keep it 100. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100 with your hosts, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 with live call-ins, heated discussions about current events, politics, national news, weather, and sports. Join our live online chat room and let your opinion show. Download our phone app, Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 on STMK Radio 100. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100. Call us at 1-866-484-7865. That's 1-866-484-STMK. Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Check out Reverend Bill Miller's Bible Study radio broadcast live on the new STMK Radio 100 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please listen in and support him as he joins the realm of broadcasting to encourage believers and offer the comfort of God to others across the airwaves. At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Also, feel free to contact him for prayer, counseling, and conversation at brobill9608@yahoo.com. That's BROBILL9608@yahoo.com. At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100.
STMK Radio 100. You're listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 with your host, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100.
Yes, this is a PSA, a public street announcement. You are now listening to a Kickback production. Light up your L's, lean back, and listen.
Good evening and welcome. I'm your host, Sean L. Tonight, we're going to talk to an icon of the financial world. We're going to go out and finish our panel with the all-star people of injustice, racial injustice in America. And we're going to go into the chat room with D Knows. Here with me tonight in Studio 51, Tone the Stone. What's up, Tone the Stone?
What's up, Sean? What's up, Stop the Madness? What's up, Facebook, Instagram? What's up, worldwide people?
Hey, everybody, I want you to know we got a great show for you. And we got a icon in the financial world, Robyn Cunningham, the only black woman VP in the nation, has given up her spot and retired. We're going to talk to her today, and y'all going to learn a lot. From the streets of Cleveland to the streets of Wall Street. Now, that is a hell of a climb that she went into. And everybody, I want you to sit back and let's take this ride.
Robyn C. Cottingham, Executive Vice President, Key Bank NA, retired, Cleveland, Ohio. Robyn C. Cottingham is a former Executive Vice President and Chief Operational Risk Officer of Key's Risk Management Group and Key's Executive Council. She was responsible for administering the Operational Risk Program for Key and retired on September 1st, 2017, after a 38-year career in financial services, all with Key Bank. Robyn joined Society Bank, a predecessor of Key Bank, as a management trainee and held positions of increasing responsibility throughout her career, including compliance and operational risk officer supporting the corporate bank risk information security and control officer, chief administration officer, and director of corporate product management with global treasury management, director of quality management for Key Bank NA, and district market leader of the community banking group for the Greater Cleveland District and Management Training. Robyn is a native Clevelander and grew up in the Glenville neighborhood. She is a product of Cleveland Public Schools, Joseph F. Landis Elementary, Louisville Junior High, and John Hay High School. She attended Baldwin Wallace University, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Business Finance and Executive Masters of Business Administration, respectively. Robyn is a graduate of Key's Executive Experience at Weatherhead program and is an alumnus of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Kappa Kappa chapter. Robyn's community involvement includes the following: Board and Executive Community Member of United Way of Greater Cleveland and Chair of the United Way's Community Impact Cabinet, Chair Emeritus of the Hiram College Board of Visitors, Baldwin Wallace College Board of Trustees, Executive Committee Member and Chair of the Governance and Trustee Committee, and Emeritus Board Member of the Maxine Goodman Levine College of Urban Affairs Visiting Committee. Former board affiliations include board member of the Thomas White Foundation, board member of the Keith Scott Trust, past chair of the Center for Community Solutions Board of Directors, Boy Scouts of America, Greater Cleveland Council, Vice President, Executive Committee, and Chair of the Relationship Division, and the Institute for Educational Renewal. Robyn is a Certified Regulatory Compliance Manager, CRCM, and has received numerous awards, including Southern Christian Leadership Excellence in Corporate Business Award, United Way of Greater Cleveland's 2014 Volunteer of the Year Award, induction into the Hiram College Garfield Society, YMCA Women of Professional Excellence Award, 2012 Northeast Ohio African American Library Culture Center, NOAALCC Spotlight Honoree, African American Family Pioneers and Trailblazers Award, the Southern Christian Leadership Excellence in Service Award, Kaleidoscope 4040 Club, and the City Year Cleveland Community Champion Award. Robyn is an active member of the Greater Abyssinia Church in Cleveland and enjoys singing, reading, and spending quality time with her family. Congratulations on your retirement.
Welcome YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook Live. As I said earlier, you thought I was joking. We have a icon of the financial world with us today, sitting here out of the Blue Room in Studio 51. Welcome, Robyn Carol Howard, the only black woman who held a position of VP at a bank here in America. Tone the Stone, bring her on in here with us. We want to hear what she got to say.
Thank you, Chanel. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow, I was going to say that was a long introduction, to get the show started, but I guess we need such a grand introduction for such a grand guest,
One of
icon,
Cleveland's own. One of Cleveland's own.
icon
Facebook.
with such a long list of accolades. So once again, Robyn, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure, it's an honor for you to join us.
Thank you. I'm real excited about the opportunity.
Okay. Well, after listening to your long list of accomplishments and titles and certifications and accolades and stuff like that, we got all of that serious business out the way. Now we're going to get to, before we start asking you some questions or just kind of digging into your history and your background and just hearing what you got to say about certain things. We're going to ask you the pressing questions that the listeners of Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 Radio are dying to know about you, as they are about all of our guests that come on the show. And these are the type of things that people around the world are just genuinely interested in, first and foremost. So we're going to put you on the hot seat with 10 questions.
All right.
We want the first thing that comes to your head. We're expecting you to give us an answer within 3 to 5 seconds without having to think about it too hard. Okay? Nothing. It shouldn't be too challenging for you. So you ready?
All right, I'm ready.
All right, Stop the Madness. Here we go. Robyn Cottingham, Howard Cottingham, on the hot seat on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 Radio with Tone the Stone. Oh my God.
Don't get nervous, Tone. Don't get nervous now.
Missy interrupted my. Okay. All right, I'm sorry about that. So, question number 1. What's the best color in the world?
Red.
Okay. Name your top 3 hip-hop artists.
Hip-hop artist. I don't know if I know hip-hop artists.
R&B.
That might not be my general.
You got to be able to name at least 3 hip-hop artists.
All I know, Biggie Smalls. I don't know, P. Diddy. Was he hip-hop?
Yeah, that counts. That counts.
I don't know.
Okay, that's 2 out of 3. We'll come back. We'll give you some time to think about that third
We'll
one.
give her a break.
Now,
Wait a minute.
I know it was hard for her to name 3 hip-hop artists because she's all about the women of soul. You listen to the
Motown. I'm a
Motown.
child of the 60s
R&B,
and 70s.
R&B.
R&B.
Well, I was under the impression that the women of soul, Patty, Aretha, such and such, those were your
Yeah.
preference. So let's cut to that. If you could only listen to one of these women of soul for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Aretha.
Aretha. Okay. Coffee or tea?
T.
Gangster movie or love story?
Gangster movie.
Okay. Are you a vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian,
I'm a meat eater.
meat eater? Never considered or never will consider vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian?
No, I'm a meat eater for life.
Meat eater for life? Nothing wrong with that. Better way to travel the world, private jet or sailing?
Private jet.
Okay. What's the number 1 thing on your bucket list right now?
Swimming lessons.
Swimming lesson? You don't know how to swim either?
I don't know how to swim.
I'm a Pisces, and I know how to swim. I taught myself how to swim when I was living in California, but only in like 5 to 6 feet of water. Have you ever or would you ever go skydiving?
No, I have not, and I would not.
Okay, and last but not least, if you had a face-to-face sit-down with Donald Trump, what's the first thing you would want to say to him?
Quit.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Robyn Cottingham on the hot seat with 10 pressing questions that everybody wants to know. Okay, Robyn, so now we're going to get into the more in-depth part of the interview, going back to your upbringing and your life experiences. So I guess starting with you being an icon of the city of Cleveland, a Cleveland native born and raised in the Glenville community, what's your most valuable memory or experience? Valuable meaning what you think has grounded you and meant the most to you throughout your life experiences, both personal and career, from growing up in the Glenville community.
Well, I grew up in the Glenville community during the Glenville riots, and we had National Guards on our corner. And I believe that shaped me to understand that you don't want to be part of the system, and that it's important to figure out how to manage things so that you're not caught up on the wrong side of the system. You learned a lot when you were on your front porch with National Guards and your street, how to channel your anger and how to find a positive way to speak up for what you believe in, and how you make positive change. I think that probably shaped me, those
Definitely.
memories.
That seems like something you will never be able to forget. You know, especially if a child you seeing something like
Yeah.
that, something you might only think you only see in the movies or something like that. Um, okay, okay. So in the intro, it mentioned that you went, when at Baldwin Wallace, you got a business of arts and finance. So did you kind of always know that you were going to pursue a career in finance?
Oh, absolutely not. I want to be a math teacher, and when I went to college, that first math course was a lot more challenging than I thought. The other thing, I thought I didn't have the temperament to teach. My mom was in banking, and I thought I'd go into business and maybe go into banking, and that's what I did. Um,
Fell in love with it.
I don't think initially I fell in love with banking, but when I first started as a management trainee, and there were so many opportunities in financial services, and I had, in that 38 years that I had with Key, I had about 10 jobs. So it was as if I was always doing something different and more challenging.
Okay.
I think financial services is a fantastic area for anyone to be in. And I did love my career.
It's great that you mentioned that you think it's fantastic for people to pursue. Obviously, it's one of those things that's never going anywhere. You know, banking and the financial aspect of our society is going to be around to the world extinguishes. But I have another question, you know, that kind of relates to that. Okay. So did you find it more challenging being black or being a woman in your line of work?
I think initially I felt it more challenging being a black person. When I went into the company, I was in areas where we didn't have many black people, and the customers weren't very happy with the fact that I was an African American in the neighborhood. Um, what I will tell you is that talent wins over any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, when the clients understood that I could meet their needs, I could provide financial advice, I could service them, they kind of looked beyond what they could see. So I think initially it was because I was a minority, and then you are always challenged in the corporate world being a female as well.
So you, as far as the clients go, you impressed them enough to change their mind, and then hopefully even change their heart, help them have a change of heart to be more decent and accepting people.
You did. It took time. I think it was a good 8 months in my first assignment before the clients would even come and talk to me. Um, it was so funny because they would not come to me, and they'd go to the other folks in the branch who were white, and because I had learned so much, they would have to come and ask me the questions to be able to answer for the client.
Right.
I think the clients finally realized they were standing in line and my desk was empty. The manager I had, because the clients wouldn't come to me, then taught me everything else that I needed to know about lending and credit and everything. So I was learning things about commercial paper, about commercial loans, and those kind of things, because clients would not come to me because I was black.
Mm. They had to learn the hard way. They could have saved a bunch of time if they would just.
They could have. But I will tell you, before I left the community banking piece, the clients, as I said, when they realize that you can serve them and help them, they look beyond that. And I adored them, and they adored me by the time this was over.
That's great. That's great. Okay. So in your 30 plus, I think it was 38 years.
38.
38 years. In your 38 years of working in finance and in banking, what was your greatest motivating force? You said at first you didn't fall in love with it. What was the motivating force that kept you to persevering to stay with it for 38 years?
So I really believe the work that you do is not who you are. It's how you are able to provide for the living and the life that you want. And so the motivation is I believe in delivering excellence and doing a good job at whatever I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I had goals. I had children. I wanted to be able to provide for them. I wanted a certain standard of living. I wanted to be able to give to my church and give to the community. And that job helped me do that. I wanted to be able to help pull other people up and develop skills in other people. That job allowed me to do that. And so the most fulfilling part is the ability to help develop and grow skills and help other people come along. While you're able to then benefit yourself as well, because I was able to make a decent living and able to retire at
A young
at the
age.
age that I wanted to retire at as I set my goals.
Still a young person. So this that job enabled you to help others.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you said that you mentioned your children in answering that last question. What was the tougher job? Presiding over operational risk and risk management or raising children?
Oh, raising children by far. Um, rocket Financial services is not rocket science. There's not anything going on in banking or financial services that you cannot learn. If you are trained and you read and you continue to grow your skills. Children aren't an open book because they're individuals and they will do whatever they're doing, and you have to figure out how to help them along so that they can be productive members of society.
They'll shock you every
And
day.
they absolutely will, even when they're adults.
Right. I know I shock my mother on a regular basis growing up, but hey, that's what being a child is for, maybe. Okay, so what did you find to be the most difficult aspect of risk management?
Well, risk management was not difficult. I tell you what I found to be difficult as I worked through my career for 38 years. I told you I was a child of the 60s and 70s, a very militant time in our country's history. And so I had to learn how not to be angry and how not to strike out, because in business, your ability to grow your career and move is all about the relationships that you build. It doesn't necessarily you can have the most talent. You can be the most talented individual ever. But if you haven't been able to build relationships in a positive way so that you can have advocates and people that are interested in seeing you grow and achieve, you will not grow and achieve those things that you want to grow. So I had to learn how to not be the angry black girl that I was, quite honestly, coming out of the 60s, and being defensive and striking back when I felt that someone had kind of stepped over the line. And I think you learn that, and as a result, you're able to achieve some things. And then I'm able to lead people, and then I'm running the department, and I'm running the groups, and I'm able to hire and bring people along. You can't do that if you can't figure out how to get past the anger and defensiveness. And so I think that was the hardest thing for me over the time.
That's a really valuable lesson. You know, we're all products of our environment and products of our generation. So for you, it was the 60s, 70s, me, the 80s, 90s. I was a young, mad little young guy running around too, you know, in the Glenville neighborhood, you know, running around with a group of other mad guys. So that was a lesson that I had to learn the hard way, you know, how to channel my anger and how to make better use of it, make be productive with my anger instead of being, you know, detrimental and a troublemaker. So that's a very valuable lesson that it benefits anybody to learn as soon as possible, as early on in life as possible, because we're all going to get mad. There's always something to be mad about in society. Okay, so what advice do you have for any young adults coming out of Glenville or any similar neighborhood community around the country, around the world, in regards to going after their dreams or pursuing a career in a competitive, strict industry like banking and finance, or, well, let's start with banking and finance, and not necessarily that specific industry, but an industry that's competitive and strict, heavily regulated like that?
So I would tell any young person, especially our young people coming out of whatever inner city or urban neighborhoods that you're coming out of, is that you have such potential. And who you are in your neighborhood or what you did or your past does not dictate what your future will be. And if you take the time to set goals, because I think it's really important, you have to kind of think about where you want to be. And you may not pinpoint it exactly. You might have some idea of what you might like. I tell you to not be afraid to take risk. We all have to take risk. And what's the worst that can happen? I will fail. You cannot learn if you've not failed once or twice. And failure is not always bad, and it's not always detrimental. So I would tell you, don't be afraid to set goals and achieve those. And you can do anything. You know, I always said, who thought this little girl from 105th of Glenville would be an executive vice president in the 14th largest bank in this nation? I didn't even see that. But what I did know is that if you keep reaching for the goals, you know, put it at the stars, you may land on the moon, but you'll be so much further ahead. So don't be afraid to take risk. Prepare yourself. You've got to work hard if you want things. Nothing comes without hard work. And you may not always get the opportunity that you're looking for, but then another opportunity will present itself. And I think you have to stay positive and just keep going after the goal and stay focused and don't let anyone distract you.
Definitely. Like you said, you know, even if you fail, that experience is going to go with you for the rest of your life. It's something valuable that you'll be able to take from it, no matter what you end up getting to in life. Okay. Now, that was career goals, career advice, financial advice for these young Generation X, Y, Zers with access
money.
to so much
Talk
capital
money,
in the world.
Facebook, money.
So much capital in the world nowadays. You know, there's more access to it than ever, I imagine. What's your financial advice for these young kids?
So financial advice, and everybody's heard it. First of all, if you've got some money, whatever you earn, make sure that you put some away for a rainy day. So you put some in your savings, at least 15%. You should be saving at least 15%. Put it away, okay? And then put away some money for your rainy day fund, okay? So don't spend it all. You have to make sure that you take care of it. It's critically important to take care of your credit. It is so important. I can't tell you that. It will follow you for the rest of your life. Then I will tell you for when
Good credit, Facebook.
when you join a company and the companies have 401k plans that they're matching, that's free money for you. So if you give $1, you save $1, and your company matches $1, that's 100% return. Take advantage of that. $25 a month in an account, you'll look up and you'll have $10,000 of dollars, $30,000, $40,000, and you won't even miss it. So make sure that you put money aside in your savings. It's critically important to save for a rainy day and to save for retirement. And so do any matching that your company allows you to do. Take advantage of it. That's your money immediately. Start immediately. I always found that if I got a raise and I put away 10% of that automatically, I never missed it because I never had it in the first place. And so you look up and you've got enough money to do with what you want. You got enough money to retire. You've got enough money to travel. But most importantly, you have enough money for retirement. Which is critically important. So take advantage of those opportunities. Always put away some money for yourself. Don't spend it all.
Stop the madness, keep it 100. You heard Robyn say, save your money.
Facebook Live,
have a little
YouTube.
cushion. Have a little comfort and security for the long run. I got a couple more questions though. Hold on, I just wanted to emphasize that.
Well, hold on for a minute, Tony, because you know everybody in the chat room is here. Facebook Live, YouTube, and Robyn, they want to know. We got some big financiers right here. What was your main job? You got risk management. Did you pick out the investments and tell them this one's going to make us money? Is this risky? We're going to lose money? Or explain that to us how that works.
So risk management and the role in financial services, which is the role in medical and energy, wherever you have a risk management group, is to make sure that the company is following the rules of those regulators that we have, so you're not getting in trouble. So the products that we develop, so if we develop a loan product, yes, our team would look at that and say whether or not this was too risky for our company, did it meet our strategic plan, or it fell within our plan. Now as we deliver it, are we ensuring that we are following the rules and that it is the right thing for the customer, and so that we are not disenfranchising the client as well. And so we would look at those, and you would tell business if they wanted to bring something to market that wasn't fair, that you can't do that. That's not fair. That's against the law. It's against regulation. It's not ethical. Or here are the things that we need to do to it to make it meet the regulation, or to ensure that we are thinking client first. At our company, and most financial services companies do, they are very focused on ensuring that the customer, the buying customer, gets what they want. Buying customers have so much leverage. You can't imagine how much leverage you really do have The problem is that when things aren't going right, buying customers think that it's that person they're talking to right then and there is who they should be addressing. I tell you, when it's not going right, write the president, write the chairman of the board. You will get results. It's not the person that's in front of you. They're following the rules as they understand them. So you just go right on up above them and speak to the person in charge.
So at Key Bank, your job was to ensure that the customer was treated and made money and was treated fairly instead of the stockholders and the bank president, right?
So my job was for all of those, because if we treated the client appropriately and the client bought our product and service, we were going to make money, we'll make a profit, we have a good return to shareholders, and then we don't have any regulatory issues or anything like that. So at the end of the day, if you're treating the client right, everyone benefits.
Now we got a question. We're gonna go into the chat room. Give me a minute, Tony Stone, because
No
we got it
problem.
right here.
No problem.
In the chat room on Facebook Live, they want to know, how do you get people to move beyond savings accounts where they're losing their money?
Well, they aren't losing their money in savings accounts because it's guaranteed, and so you can't lose. When you lose part of your principal, meaning you invest $100 and you look up and you only have $90 now, is in the market. So when I'm investing in stocks and equities, and so what you want to do is you want to make sure you have a diverse portfolio, because the stock market moves ups and downs, right? So sometimes the stock portfolio is going to go well, and sometimes your bond portfolio is going to go well. If you have it diversified, so you have it balanced across those, when one's going up, one's going down, you do have to pay attention to the market, or you want to make sure that your funds are in what's called a managed fund that's already balanced. So when you invest, the chances that you'll lose funds are very slim. But when the market drops, you can lose funds. When the market dropped in 2007, most of us lost 50% of our 401ks because we didn't have it balanced, because you could only invest in your company stock. After that, it changed and we were able to diversify and the markets came back. So the only thing I'll tell you, what most investment advisors will tell you, and I'm not an investment professional, I'm a banking professional and risk professional, but investment professionals will tell you that you have to think long term, because investment is a long-term game. If you want to make sure you don't lose any money, then you would be in a savings account where your interest rate is guaranteed for that period. It's probably lower than what you'd get in the market. And the other thing that I would remind everyone, if it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. We're in a 1-2% market right now, and in an investment portfolio, probably a 5% return is pretty good right now. And if someone's offering you double-digit returns in a 5% market, I would tell you that there's something fishy going on, and you probably should not be investing with that individual.
In your experience, did you find people more skeptical of investors, investment personnel, or bankers, or equally skeptical?
I think investment personnel, because you're banking, if you're in a traditional banking investment, a savings account, a checking account, certificate of deposit, those funds are guaranteed by the U.S. government.
Okay.
So you will not lose that money. In investments, those funds are not guaranteed. If you're in stocks and bonds and things, it is not guaranteed. And so when the market drops, you know, it's a game of chance that you've taken.
Right.
So your funds are not guaranteed. So, and investments, most people find a little more challenging to understand. That's why you probably should have a very seasoned investment advisor, and make sure that, you know, I would say make sure that you're managing your money with that advice, not
Right.
that you're giving your money over
Right.
to someone to have control over.
Right. Okay, I got a couple more questions for you. Earlier you said you wanted to be a teacher first.
Yeah.
Math teacher?
Math teacher.
Okay. If you could go back 38, 40 years and start all over from scratch, what would your ideal career choice be to pursue other than banking and finance and other than a teacher?
Oh, God, I was going to tell you, I want to be an investment banker, because then you make millions of dollars a year. But if I can't be in financial services, if I absolutely cannot, I do think it would be somehow in teaching and educating and helping people grow their skills.
So if you could go back and scratch the question, if you could go back, you would still go banking, but you would just go
I
investment
absolutely,
banking,
I would go into
knowing
banking
what you
and
know
I
now.
would be an investment banker.
Matter of fact, tell us about investment banking. What is that
So
where
in,
we can make millions?
yeah.
Facebook, I want you to listen up to this. She said you can make millions of dollars a year. YouTube Live, welcome LA. ATL's in the house, San Francisco and Savannah.
And we won
Hey
our cut too.
Gerald, what's up? Now we're talking to right now to an icon in the financial world, Robyn C. Cunningham. She was the only black female vice president at any bank here in America. She's from Cleveland, Ohio, out of the Glenville neighborhood, from the streets of Cleveland to the streets of Wall Street. And we rapping with her today. Stay with us and come on in and listen to that. Robyn, tell us about being an investment banker.
So investment bankers are the people, and they aren't a banker. It's an investment company, and some of them are part of banks. So we have an investment banking arm at Key. We had, and most large banks do. But they are the group that helps you buy and sell companies, right? So when people are putting IPOs up and selling their company or buying companies, these are the folks that do all the research and help you understand to buy that company or what you can sell that company for, and they get a percentage of that activity when they're doing that. They help with bond issues and those kind of things. They work extremely hard. I mean, the hours are crazy. Young trainees that are investment banking are probably working 15, 20-hour days. They probably never stop. But those folks make, even in our small organization, like, Key, that was, they probably are making $3-4 million a year. In a large bank like the big money center banks, they're probably making 3 times that. It's hard work.
Now, out of the chat, hold on, Tony Stone. I know I don't want me to cut you off, but out of the chat room on Facebook Live, they want to know what degrees do you need to be an investment banker or get into the investment.
Yeah, so here's the great thing about financial services. All you need is your college degree, and it could be in English, it could be in business, you could whatever you're majoring, because when you join the company, they will train you, and mostly they always have training programs. They call them analyst programs where you learn, or management training programs, and the bank will train you on what you need to know. And if you have the aptitude, because it does, and the desire to achieve, you'll look up and you'll be that investment banker that's making millions of dollars.
Would you
so
say investment banker, for the great payoff that they get, is it, even with all the hard work that they do, you said 15, 20 hours a day, is it a great payoff like that with the least risk as compared to the people who are actually buying and selling the companies, or they have the minimal risk with such a great payoff like that?
Well, the company has the risk. If you're not good at your trade, people will know that, and then they won't use you, right? They
Right.
won't leverage you to help them. So if your investment banking group is not very good, meaning they've counseled you and said buy this, and or here's where you can sell it at, and you do, and you're not making money, then they're not going to use you. So there's
Exactly.
you have reputation risk, and all investment companies are ranked just as all banks are ranked, but companies are ranked to say who's the best and who isn't. But if you're good, if you're really good, our group was very good and very niched with middle market companies. If you're very good, you do well. Trust me, they do very well.
In the last several years, before you retired, would you say with this technology sector industry boom, has it been crazy, like the investment bank in these companies? Has that been the craziest?
The tech
you've seen?
sector had its boom, but now alternative energy sector is
Okay.
where the boom really is going,
Okay.
because we've got in the country, right, change, and the alternative energy is really taking off.
Okay.
Tech will always be there. Alternative energy is where there's a lot of
Okay.
activity currently.
Arizona's in the house. What's up, D. Willis, out on Facebook Live, out in the city of Phoenix. We got Phoenix in the house, and we welcome you. And the question is this that coming out of the chat room, Tony Stone, because we got the chat room really jumping right now. Do people need good credit to get the job, even if they have the degrees that you want?
Absolutely. So most companies, not just financial services organizations, do background checks. And in banking, you have to be bonded to work there. If you have criminal background or your credit isn't good, you cannot be bonded. Most companies do, even after the initial background check, periodically they do background checks on you. Our company did them about every 3 years or so. And if there were things going on with your credit, they could terminate you. So I can't tell people how critical their credit is, not just for their job, but for them to be able to buy a house, to buy a car, to do the things that you want to do in life. But yes, credit's critically important.
Especially for the job. I mean, you can't handle other people's money if you can't manage your own money. So.
Facebook Live also want to know which alternative energy program is growing the fastest. So they looking to invest their money. Ain't that right? Facebook want to invest
Well,
their
now,
money.
I don't know. So you're probably going to have to do your research there because I'm not an investment banker to tell you which of those were. For a while, it were the windmills, and then, it was the solar panels. But I tell you to do some research on alternative energy, and you'll see which of those stocks and which of those are taking off.
Now, Russell Wilkins out in L.A. sitting in rush hour traffic on YouTube Live in the chat room. He wants to know, you said that the bank trained you. Is that part of the key executive experience training program? Or he wants to know what program that to look for?
So I was a management trainee when I first started, and so I joined the management training program. The key executive program was actually a program for continuing to develop and train executives. And so throughout my career and throughout most companies, but at Key, you are always learning and training. When I got the CRCM that was referenced in the intro, it was because I went into risk management. And I would tell you, of the 10 jobs I had at the company, I didn't train for any of them. So I didn't know those jobs when I went into them. And then I went out and I took all the training that I could so I could learn the trade. And so when you start, you're probably, if you're going into a company out of college, you're either going to join a management training program or an analyst program or branch training program. They call them specific names.
I think the lesson there is you have to have confidence in yourself. You don't need to have the experience or the training or the background. If you have the confidence in your ability to learn it, you can do whatever you want to do. That's amazing, that you said you all of those things. You had basically no experience and no clue going in and look at the levels you rose to. That's excellent. That's
Facebook
excellent.
Live, welcome. I want to let you know we're talking to Robyn Carol Cunningham, a product of the Cleveland Public Schools, graduate and alumni of John Hay High School, right out of the Glenville area, from East 105 and South Boulevard, from the streets of Cleveland to the streets of Wall Street, and she's given us some financial advice. She's an icon in the financial world, the only black woman to hold a vice president position at a major financial institution in the United States. That means America. There's nobody following her, and there was nobody there before her. And she's here with us tonight on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. Thank you all for joining us. Coming up in here, Orlando LTL is in the house. And Robyn, we want to know something right here coming out of the YouTube chat room. They want to know, of all the times that you was going there and they went back into your long list of about 22 board members you are on, which board do you like the best?
United Way of Greater Cleveland. I think it's between that and Baldwin Wallace, because I'm a trustee at Baldwin Wallace University, which is my alma mater. And then United Way of Greater Cleveland, because you really are helping those that really need the help. It's a safety net. And so I chair the impact committee. We determine the funds that we raise, how we allocate those out to nonprofit organizations that need the funding. And I think that is probably the most rewarding, I would say, United Way.
How many hours did you sleep a day for the last 38 years?
Well, I really needed 8 hours, but I've never gotten 8 hours because I was at my desk at 6 in the morning, every morning, and you work till 6 or 6:30, 7 o'clock. Some nights you'd work till 9 because there was work to do. Mm-hmm. And so 5 hours maybe, or so.
So Facebook Live chat room, in the chat room, they want to talk about getting savings accounts for their grandchildren. So they want to know What are the best type to get instead of the Christmas Club account that comes around every year? What should they be looking for, and
Yeah.
what should they be opening up?
So they should just go open a basic savings account. They'll open it as custodial account, so you'll need a tax ID number for or social security number for your grandchild, and just go open up the basic savings account. The rates are going to go up soon. The Fed's supposed to raise rates soon, so we'll get back to the the nice interest rates on savings accounts. But what's more important than what it's paying is to teach your grandchild how to save. And so when you give them their allowance or they do some work around the house, you tell them if you give them $1, then 15% of that has to go in their savings account, or 20% in the savings account before they spend it all, so that they will get used to putting money aside and savings, and then they'll see it growing. But just a basic savings account should work fine.
So if they're
Wait a minute, hold on for 1 minute. Tony Stone, San Francisco is tied in with us. Welcome, San Francisco, to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. We have Laura Crown in the house with us. Also, you need to check out her book tonight. For our affiliate sisters stations tying in with us, we are talking to Robyn Carroll Cunningham, an icon in the financial market. She's from the city of Cleveland. She's a product of the Cleveland Public Schools. If you didn't hear us kick it in earlier, go back and hear it on demand in SoundCloud, Mixcloud. We will post it to YouTube. And she's now giving us financial information to better ourselves. So, Robyn, let me ask you this one question right here. You're a graduate of Baldwin Wallace. You stayed in the area and you graduated from Baldwin Wallace. And you went on their board also. So what sororities are you a member of?
So I was a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, the Kappa Kappa chapter, which was the chapter on the campus of Baldwin Wallace. So that's the only sorority I am. I'm a Delta.
Oh, Delta. So let me ask you this. You have been on so many boards, and you love American Red Cross. I think that's the one you said. United Way.
United Way.
United Way. For people who wants to start getting into charity and start with all the disasters that's going on, the earthquake and the hurricanes, which is the best one to give to? Is it United Way?
Well, the one thing I would tell you that you either give to your United Way in the area where you are, because they'll make sure the funds get there, or the Red Cross. You've got to be very careful of giving to organizations that just pop up and say that they want to send funds over. Some of the things you want to really understand when you're giving to organizations is how much money do they spend on their own expenses. So, most charities, if they're like United Way, spends like 15 cents on a dollar for overhead. The rest goes. Some organizations may be spending 50 cents or more. You need to understand that to make sure, because what you really want is you want your the donation that you give to really reach those that in need. So, I would be giving it to United Way, or I would be giving directly to Red Cross. I would not be giving to anyone else. And there's a lot of churches and other organizations that are gathering the money from their members. And when they do, they should be sending those directly to the Red Cross, but not some new organization that's just popped up.
like United Way or the Red Cross is a safe bet. As long as you make sure you're giving it to your local chapter.
That's correct.
Right.
And don't forget, for those that are employed, if you give a donation, your company may match that. And so a matching gift will help increase the value of those funds that are being sent off.
Out of the chat room, Tone and Stone, they want to know from Robyn, what is the best way to build your credit up for a startup business?
So startup businesses are kind of tough because you got to have some funds to even get it started, right? You'll continue to build your credit if you get a small loan and you pay that back. There are some equity investors that will invest in your business, and that investment banking group that we talked about will help put you in touch with equity investors. But you'll have to make sure that you're paying your bills and your debt. It's critically important. It's the only way that businesses enhance their credit, and it's the only way we as individuals do so as well.
So your personal credit has to be in order before you even think about getting any type of
Oh,
your
absolutely.
business.
Because most individuals will have to personally guarantee whatever you're doing for your business.
Right. Going back to the savings account for grandchildren or just kids in general, is that because it's a savings account you can put it in their name? Because I thought a few years ago somebody went to the bank to try to get their teenage kids like an account, and may have been checking, but they said they couldn't put their name on the account because they were
It was
minors.
probably checking
Okay.
or a credit card because you have to be 18 to sign a contract.
Okay.
Um, the savings account, the child doesn't have the right to draw.
Okay.
You're the custodian for them, but
Okay.
it's in their name. And technically, at 18, you're supposed to turn it over to them because
Okay.
now they're of age.
Okay.
But
Okay. So retired after 38 years. What are you doing with all your free time now?
I don't think I've had free time yet, but there are a number of things that I've already planned to do, and swimming, as I told you, is one of them.
Okay.
And I'll have a number of other things on my thing. I will keep a couple boards, so I am staying active in United Way and active as a Baldwin Wallace trustee and active on the Levin College board, so that I can make sure that there's a higher purpose than myself. So I don't get so caught up in Robyn being retired. So that and my church and things, I'll have enough to keep me busy.
You sound like a selfless person, a very selfless person. Like not only your career, but your family and the boards and everything that you do for the community, and just and being generous and giving back and helping other people. Like it seems like you can't, even though now that you're retired, you couldn't get it out your system if you wanted to. Like it's just something that you're gonna keep with you until you pass on.
I believe that God gives it back to you tenfold. And the more you give, the more that comes back to you. It's, as I said, I've had so much opportunity coming out of Glenville. Who would have thought that I would have had the opportunity that I had? And I had tremendous opportunity. You can't help but give back when God has been so generous and gracious in giving so much.
Well, thank you for being such a generous person. Thank you for being such a wonderful person. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Now, I'm not gonna let you get away. You probably thought I forgot. You named 2 hip hop artists earlier, and the question was to name 3.
3.
Your 3 top. Now I'm gonna take it that these aren't your 3 top because you having a hard time coming up with any names, but we still need a 3rd name.
I don't know. I don't know any.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna do one better for you. I'm gonna do one better for you. I ain't gonna be like Tony Stone. Give us 3 R&B right now.
That's too
Any
easy.
year. That's okay.
That's
We're
too
gonna
easy.
let her off the
Any
hook right
year?
there.
Okay, any year. So we already said Aretha Franklin,
Right.
The Temptations, the Manhattans, which were my favorite. Stylistics, they gave you 4. Whitney, which was fabulous.
Facebook
Just
Live,
pop.
YouTube. We are in Studio 51 out of the Blue Room with an icon from the financial world, Robyn Carol Cunningham. You need to check this out and check out her bios and listen to the things she's done. She's a product of the city of Cleveland. She came from the Cleveland Public Schools, off the streets of Cleveland in the Glenville neighborhood to the streets of Wall Street, and made history as the only black female vice president at any major banking institution here in America. We are really blessed to have her in studio with us today. We are blessed that she's on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. We ask you to go back and listen to this show and get it on demand at SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and YouTube. LA, stay with us. Robyn, thank you very much for coming into the studio with us. We really appreciate you being here today. This is a really, really great time for us. And hey, we have anything you'd like to say to our audience before you leave?
Now, I just want to thank you for having me on the show and the audience for listening to my story, and just keep encouraging our young people. There's so much possibilities out there for them, and good luck to everybody. Thank you.
Do you want to share your Facebook page or anything if anybody wants to reach out to you, or
No, I don't think I'll say
No.
much. I am on LinkedIn, however, so.
Okay.
We're going right here. We got to go pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
Rush into Old Navy. Right now, all pants and all jeans are on sale up to 50% off. From $15 for adults, $10 for kids. Even the new Stevie, Old Navy's new skinny pant in flattering stretch knit. Right now at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Valid 9/21 to 10/1. Excludes active, licensed, and in-store clearance.
New sanctions. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. President Trump has signed a new executive order targeting North Korea. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin says the new order allows the government to go after financial institutions that do business with North Korea.
Foreign financial institutions are now on notice that going forward, they can choose to do business with the United States or with North Korea, but not both.
The Mexican Navy now says there is no missing child at a collapsed school in Mexico City, but they still believe an adult is still alive. The search continues for survivors of a deadly earthquake in Mexico. The Prime Minister of Dominica says Hurricane Maria has killed more than 15 people.
We're running a hospital now worse than in a war zone.
On the last day of summer, snow is falling in the Sierra Nevada in California. Several inches of snow is reported in higher elevations. I'm Ed Donahue.
Napa know-how.
Any car brave enough to withstand a decade's worth of multi-state family voyages is worth treating to some quality parts and Napa know-how. Coolant for the Death Valley trip, wiper blades for the Pacific Northwest, air fresheners for the Southwest chili cook-off. Yeah, with some quality parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep your road warrior running longer, stronger, for many more vacations to come. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
To STMK Radio 100.
Hey, Thirst, can I try out a few Coke Summer sound effects on you? Yes. Cool. You okay with this? And this? Yes. And what about this? Yes. Ha! Gotcha there, Thirst. That wasn't sound effects. That was a Coke. I'm no longer thirsty. You're so out of here. Coca-Cola. Open happiness.
We're here asking people from all over what they think of Lipton green tea. Let's hear what people from Texas have to say. How about China? Germany? How about people from the North Pole? Or Mars? What about mimes? Oh, right. People with their jaws wired shut? Yeah, a barbershop quartet. Oh, you guys are great. How about race car drivers? What about you, high school glee club, here on a field trip? Well, that settles it. It sounds like everyone loves the taste of Lipton green tea. With its protective antioxidants from real tea, it's not just good for you, it's to you. Lipton tea can do that.
STMK Radio 100. You're listening to Stop the Madness. Keep it 100 with your host, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100.
This racism exists in this country. African American community is not delusional about this. What is happening in Charlotte is not just about Charlotte, it's about Tulsa, it's about Cleveland, it's about Baltimore, it's about Ferguson. It is about the fact that racism exists in the DNA of America, and the only way that we're going to deal with it is to confess our sins. It didn't start with police and it doesn't end with police. It is the entire system. And as an African American mother of an African American son who is a law enforcement officer, who has been racially profiled throughout his life, who does wear a badge and a gun, who I do worry about on both ends, let me just tell you this. We have to deal with these issues in a very real way, and the African American community is sick and tired of the same sad song being played over and over and over and over again. And just like novelist James Baldwin and activist James Baldwin said, he said to be black in America and to be relatively conscious is to be in a rage all the time. And when we have leaders who don't even want to acknowledge that we have institutional racism in this country, political, economic, financial, we have to admit that and we have to do something about it.
Upset by this. The problem that these young men were protesting, that Colin Kaepernick took a knee, that Michael Bennett took a seat for. It affects your football team because they're young black men.
On a free-fall Thursday, let's go into the chat room with Dino's Tone the Stone. We got a lot of smoke up in there. Let's ask D. D, what's happening in the chat room? Are they letting their opinions show?
Well, Chanel, the chat room is on fire, and here are some of their opinions. Fighting for life. Sometimes all it takes is open communication without the name-calling that Loomis did. Nice to see. At Puggers, learn more about what the flag stands for, then talk about ignorance and disrespect. SMH. As has been said numerous times before, the players are within their rights. You may not agree, but they're neither ignorant or disrespectful. Hoodrat 88, it's their right. All the rest of your rant is meaningless. It's their right. You're telling me to go away when you replied to my comment? LOL, truth hurts. Then I guess you know it's their right. Old guy, this, it's their right, is a meaningless comment. If it is in the Millionaire Browns players' right to protest, it is everyone else's right to protest their protest. It's your right to go to public square and hit yourself in the face with a cream pie too, but it is still stupid and misguided, much like the Browns players' arrogant actions, and it's everyone else's right to point that out. Simple. You're kidding, right? It is their right, just as the Browns administration has admitted. As a business owner, I can wear whatever shirt I choose, and so can my employees. 60 Watt. No white officers were selected to participate. Gary Cantor. I've corrected that for you. No white officers would participate. The Swam. Loomis and his white supremacist followers are missing an opportunity to move the country in a healing direction. Real Deal 101. We need to continue to talk about it, continue to evolve it, and come up with the best ways that we feel that we can make a difference and make an impact. And on the lighter side, Funny Side 88. Wife, what you doing? Husband, nothing. Wife, you did that yesterday. Husband, I wasn't finished. And that's what's happening in the chat room with D-Knows.
The majority of contacts made with citizens are calls for service. Others are officers patrolling the community to make it safe. And they serve the profession well as being good police officers. And we also have some bad apples. Cowards that hide behind the badge and make all the good officers. department and officers know who they are. It's time to trust that we have worked so hard to establish. Euclid Police Department has one search officer, Michael Amiot. He has numerous documentary reports and videos of use of force since 2014. To be more specific, Officer Amiot has over 18 use of force reports on alleged suspect that he has arrested. When you add the report and investigation conducted by the Atlanta Police Department and subsequent resignation in lieu of firing, this officer has shown a clear pattern and practice of abuse of power against citizens of many communities. Why is Officer Amiot's well-documented past not being mentioned? In plain language, officers should not be able to wear a badge in any department in order to make the community safe from this bad apple coward that hide behind the badge. It's time for the many good officers across the country to speak up about the bad apple.
Now, that was the retired African American Retiree Association, Marvin Cross, speaking out in Euclid, Ohio, about Officer Michael Amiot. And my question is the same thing that he had, Tony Stone, is that this officer has 18 cases of use of force against kids, against juveniles, against he had a 16-year-old girl in the head. My question is not about him. My question is, what is the city of Euclid administration? What is their problem? He should have never got to this last case. Okay, right. And I talked to 15 use of force experts. Okay, and I'm gonna say this: the use of force that he used on that suspect on the traffic stop, believe it or not, it was within policy of the Euclid Police Department.
That's bad policy.
Okay.
I'm going to say that.
Well, I'm going to say this here, and I understand where you stand, but I'm going to say this here, and I'm going to say this to everybody. When you start a fight with a law enforcement officer and you get beat up, that's on you.
That kid didn't start a fight with him.
Well, he should have. Well, I'm going to read it the way it is, okay?
What's your definition of start a fight? Okay. Where I come from, throwing a punch at somebody or challenging somebody to a fight, start a fight.
Let me just say this, that out of 15 use of force experts, 10 of them minorities, okay, 10 of them minorities who would be called to come into court to either testify for him or against him, has said that his use of force was within policy.
Well, that's the part. Well, that's the problem right then and there. Now, going back to, and I'll tell you why it's a problem, because what did you say first? How was he allowed to get to this? Was it 15 you said now?
Right.
Because the policies in place make for the administrations to cover for these officers because they want to save face.
I'm not going to say that, Tom, because you know what?
That's exactly what it is.
He's being judged on issues that happen on this traffic stop, okay? And he's
got chance after chance
what I'm saying,
chance
he's being judged on back practices, not on what happened on this traffic stop. He's being judged on back practices.
But that traffic stop was just another clear indication that this
guy
guy is a problem. He's not fit for law enforcement.
I agree with that right there. That's why I'm going to the administration, the chief, the captain. I believe, as I said before at the summit and the violence summit, that supervisors, instead of the patrol officer or the officer himself, supervisors should be held accountable for their actions, okay? Which means prosecution, paying out of their pocket from a lawsuit, taxpayers not paying for them. Because if you want to be a supervisor, then you need to go out there and do it. But on the phone with us out in the field, we got our man, Saxman. What's up, Sax?
What's going on there? What's up there, Tom?
Sax, what's going on, man? Good to hear from you.
You know, I got Tony Stone already fired up. Especially,
yeah, I see that, man. And you know, you always get inspired up right before you send me in there.
Right. Because
he takes it out on me.
Because wait a minute, you are the law enforcement officer in the field. I just told Tony Stone that we sat down with 15 use of force officers. 10 of them, and I want to say this, we'll put it up front. 10 of them were officers of color who trained police officers. They looked at the Euclid film of that traffic stop with Michael Amiot. Now, they questioned why he was allowed to stay out on the street with all these use of force complaints. Now there's some issues here, so I'm just going to go I'm not going to go on his past. I'm not, because they did question that, and they did say that there's a problem. They did say the same thing you said, Tony Stone, that supervisor should have caught this, and he should not have been allowed to stay out there and abuse his badge.
Well, Sean, that's Euclid. That's Euclid. That's the city of Euclid. That's been something the city of Euclid has been about since you and I've been born.
Well, see, this is the problem. But Saxman,
that city used to be, man. That city used to be a retirement community for white people.
But this is but Saxman, this is the problem. This is the problem going forward. And I want to say this.
Hold on. Did you just say? You said there used to be a retirement community for white people, so now it's bad because there's black people living there. Is that what you?
No, that ain't what he said there, Toad. Don't give. Wait, Toad. I'm gonna let you have it, Toad. But I want to bring this out because one of the use of force officers did tell me this, is that our suburbs are used to the broken window and broken bottle policing policy, and they did this to keep the people of color out of the community. Okay. So you'll go around the community. Now, the people of color are 95% of the community. So they still are using the same policing tactics, okay? They're not like the city of Cleveland, who's used to dealing. So this Euclid is just a start, because you got Willowick. You got more people moving into Wycliffe. You have more people. Bill Willoughby. So all these, so going down the line, you're going to have the same problem. Now, what we need to do is, one, that the community has to start voting and getting out, being more active in their city government. And that means you have to change your city government. You can't have a Euclid be a city like Ferguson. That's the problem with Ferguson. That's the problem with, you go down to East St. Louis and come back down up the line, is that the city's 95% minorities, but the city government is all ran by one person, okay? And
Sean, I said that on the last show. We need to hire more African Americans to police African American communities.
Well,
not have whites come down and police.
Well, there's one problem with that,
They
Saxman.
don't know anything about it.
Saxman, there's one problem with that, and I'm gonna say this right here, okay? Is that if our young black men were capable of going on the police force right now, we would have them, because we had that flex in the 80s. We have to we have to reach back right now to our kids in school and start training them to come into the community, to police our community like they did when I was back in high school. Okay, because right now we have a lost society, okay, and we got to call a spade, okay. We have a lost society. Okay, we have black men out here right now carrying the red, black, and blue flag, and the black and flag, and talking about black power. We're going to respect our women. We're going to take care of our kids, and then they out here raping our babies. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna call a spade a spade. Our communities. I walked down the street last week with the councilman and the alder, and we walked through here. Our elderly people are living like they're in prison. They only come out the house early in the morning. Now they can't even do that. They got so many gates and stuff in there. If their house caught fire, they couldn't even get out at night. That's a shame. Okay.
And they're locking themselves in.
Right. And we are not taking back our streets. Black on black crime, I'm gonna call them out also, is that here we have people doing balloon release for drug dealers that are killed, and praising them. Something's wrong here.
Yeah, it's a twisted culture. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, you walked around with the councilman and the alder, and the older people are scared to come outside. It's a shame when it gets like that. It should never be like that. Where I grew up on 105, it's just as wild as any neighborhood, but we always respected the old people and the older people on the streets. Up and down 105, when we were out there acting up, somebody be shooting a gun in the broad daylight. An older person, an adult, would come out and walk right up to that young guy who was shooting his gun and say, "You can't be doing that over here."
They're scared.
So what happened? What happened?
I can't speak. I can't speak for every neighborhood. Maybe in some neighborhoods, those type of people who are that courageous and that strong just aren't present.
Can I say something here?
Yeah, go ahead, Sax. Go ahead, Saxman.
Most of this is by design. And I saw it. Not a lot of people got their eyes open. I saw the design a long time ago. I spoke on it a long time ago. It's all this is by design. It's happening by design, and it's working in their favor because no one's paying attention to the fact that when you take away education from the school, you divide their homes, you give them false hope, you make them pursue happiness under how do I say, more of basketball stars instead of your mother and your father, because they look up to a basketball star or a homie coming home from prison, then they look up to their mother and their father.
Well, that's the problem right now. We're talking about
they tear the home, they tear the homes apart, and there's nothing for them to look up to. There's nothing for them to follow. There's nothing for them to respect. I followed my mother. I followed my father. The reason why I'm a cop, I followed my father. The reason why I'm a serviceman is I followed my father. All right, so did my brother. We have somebody to look up to follow to become something more productive. My father was very productive. My father owned his own business. So did my mother. You know, we followed our mother and father. When you take away the mother and father out of the home and put the kid into the street, he's going to follow those that he respects on the street.
Right.
The street hustler, the thug, whatever, and you're going to follow them. And where do you end up at?
Well,
dead or in jail.
Well,
So that's what happens.
Saxman, out of L.A. in the chat room, they got a question for you, and I knew that was coming, so I'm ducking out of this one, and Tone gonna bite you after you do this. You know that, right?
Oh, Tone, I got a baseball bat.
In St. Louis, a police officer in a high-speed chase tells his partner he's going to kill this blanky blank blank. He gets out and shoots the male. The prosecutors say he plants a gun on him. They put him on trial. He didn't take a jury, and I know why he didn't take a jury. We're going to talk about that. That's what I talk about, people not voting. Okay, this comes down to people not voting because I'm gonna type this. Wait a minute, Saxman. I'm gonna let you have this because I got to type this in the chat room, and I'm gonna type this back. But the judge found him not guilty.
Not guilty.
So what is going on here? I know my answer to it. I know my answer to it. So go ahead.
Again, it's by design. I keep telling you, it's by design. It was meant to be this way. Okay, you got the good old boys on the bench. You got the good old boys in the jury box. You got the good old boys prosecuting. You got the good old boys defending. You got the good old boys sitting there doing a court stenographer. You got nothing but good old boys around you, and you're the only black sucker sitting up there going, oh, my God.
Well, I'm going to say
you're
this.
all alone.
I just typed this back into the chat room to L.A., and I'm going to say this. I am almost blankety blank, okay? And in my history of growing up in the South, I have never heard of a white man getting convicted for killing a black man, even if he told you he did it.
Me neither.
So if that's the history, right? I was going there, right? Correct.
Hey, go ahead.
But I'm saying if that's the history, then that means that you have to get out and vote, and you have to change the judges and the people in office, the people who believe in what you believe in and what you like. You can't sit at home.
We have to be smarter than we've been being.
Right. We got, look at the city of Cleveland. Out of 350,000 people, only 7% voted. And it goes back to this thing of social injustice, and this is right where we're going right here. Social injustice, everybody look for a color. But it's not a color with social injustice, okay? Social injustice is when someone is being unfairly treated or the practices is being carried into society. The injustice usually happening, okay? It doesn't make a difference if you white. It doesn't make a difference if you black, Chinese, Puerto Rican. If you being treated unjust by your government or by people in society that you live in or in that neighborhood, that is what social injustice is all about. And Tony Stone, you was looking at this, and we're going to go right here to what's happening in Korea. Do anybody understand? Maybe they need to go back and do a history lesson.
That's Saxman's favorite vacation spot, North Korea.
Saxman, yes, your favorite vacation spot in North Korea.
Let me say something. Let me say this before we go to that.
What's going on in Boston? I saw something on Facebook about they spraying some type of chemicals in the air that's supposed to kill the bugs, but it's having an effect on the humans, turning them into zombies or something. Did you see
Well,
that?
well, you know what? Michelle Jackson is not in the chat room from Boston. You know, your favorite girl. She's she's not. She may be in the chat room because Facebook flipping it around and YouTube has flipped over on us. And so, if Michelle, if you are there, I'm sorry that I missed you. But Michelle Jackson, if you are in our chat room, type what's going on in your city in Boston so we can find out what's going on.
Sax, that's called crystal meth. That's called crystal meth, man.
But you know that but Saxman, you know that Dick Gregory and who else was that said remember when the jets was flying in the skies and they had the vapor thing? You know
chemtrails.
The chemtrails, right. You know, they said that was the Illuminati. You know, they said the Illuminati was putting stuff down on you. Where is what's that guy's name? Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise was a good Illuminati person, wasn't he?
He's a Scientologist, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
It's all the same as far as I know.
Okay.
But everything around us is poisonous. Everything around us is poisonous.
He's with Scientology. That's Tom Cruise.
But right. But I want to say this. You know, everybody keep talking about us going into North Korea. Trump say he's going to annihilate North Korea. Tony Stone, but this is the problem that I have right here. And this is when I say that people need to do a history lesson, okay? And to really understand what's going on in the world now, a NEO 134 white supremacist sent me something, and he's in the chat room with us. Jack sent me this, that it goes back to the Roman Empire, white Anglo-Saxon males, world domination. You need to read up on Caesar. Octavia, Mark Antony, okay, and then Cleopatra, okay, domination. Now, if you go back into Korea, everybody don't understand. We fought that war already, and they forgot why. Well, it wasn't a war; it was a conflict, but they forgot why we didn't win it. And we're going to talk about going back over there with nuclear weapons.
Well, I didn't know we lost the Korean War, but
yeah, we lost the Korean War.
Well, I mean, this is the thing with that guy, Kim Jong-un. He's a madman, you know. He's a madman. And the thing about these world leaders, especially somebody like him, you know, he doesn't care about his people. There's no way he can win.
But
there's no way he can win. There's no way North Korea can win a war
daddy was a
against
madman.
us.
Wait a minute. Let me say this.
Yeah,
right
but
here.
his daddy didn't drive them into war. You know, they was always on the verge of war.
But his uncle took us to war. That's how we started the Korean War. But let me say this. Everybody don't understand this. So let me say this right here. Ho Chi Minh was a CIA operative. Okay. If you remember, China went on their world quest. Genghis Khan and all them came down through the peninsula. The Japanese came over and took everything. The only reason the Korean War started is because the British and the French was in the southern half colonizing people, just like Vietnam. Okay. Then the United States and everybody whooped Germany, and then the United States dropped a bomb on Japan. That left the void open right there, okay? And then the North Koreans came down the peninsula and took it over. America was up under the same thing we are now about the NATO treaty. So we went and we beat the North Koreans and ran them all the way back to China. Now, 3 million Chinese came down and ran us back. And we had to sign a treaty just like we did in Vietnam. That was before Vietnam. Okay? So if 3 million Chinese came down and stopped us from taking over North Korea in 1952, 53, what makes us think that we're going to go over there and take it now? It's not going to happen. And Chinese and the Chinese have nuclear weapons also.
Well, I mean, yeah, they've got them, but you know, now you're talking about the Chinese now. The Chinese being an ally of the Korea in the case of this war. Okay, now that's where it would get really really serious heavy. But I'm just trying to keep it to North Korea and America. Even though when it goes down, it's going allies. It's going to be like a massive war.
But you have to look at this. You have to look at this. And Saxman's a military man. You have to look at this. If I'm always starting fights because I know my big brother Saxman can kick your head off, Well, if me and you get ready to fight, you cannot just look at me.
Right.
You got to look at Saxman.
Right. Exactly. And I understand that, but I'm saying, so what North Korea is doing with all these firing off these missiles and testing all these nuclear weapon capabilities and everything.
That's all posturing. That's all
right. But we all know he playing. But you got Trump. You got Trump.
Hold on a second. What did he say? What did you say,
He
Sax?
said just say it again, Sax.
It's called posturing.
Oh, right. But I mean, posturing.
Standing there looking at each other, daring you to move. That's posturing, man. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's posturing.
They ain't gonna do nothing.
But when they're flying it over the island of Japan, I mean, you can posture, you can talk all you want. When you step on somebody's yard, when you infringe on their territory, then people start taking it personal. That's when things escalate. And as far as these two leaders go,
you start worrying, Tone. That's when you worry.
Right.
When they actually come here past Hawaii, then you
well, no, because I'm talking about our allies.
We don't have no civilian control over the military no more. That's scary. We have put the last time that we put the military in charge of themselves, we ended up in Iraq. We ended up in Afghanistan. And we still in Afghanistan over 14 years later. Now you talk about fighting North Korea. If we didn't arm Ho Chi Minh, we didn't ever went to war with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then what everybody don't understand is, and I want everybody to understand this, I want you to watch PVS Vietnam series.
Mm-hmm.
Because the CIA gave Ho Chi Minh the guns, the rockets, and everything to fight the Japanese. And he thought that America was going to stay neutral. But France told America, if you don't let us colonize these colored people again, we're going with the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
So America let them do it. And then Ho Chi Minh wiped them. But the Russians came and said, okay, Ho Chi Minh, America then turned his back on you. We're going to give you everything. Now, they wiped the French out. We're paying $3 billion a month on a war that the French couldn't even keep. They just got run out of Vietnam. Now, to keep faith with the world, we put our troops over there, and 10,000 men lost their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we still didn't take it. We had to sign a treaty and leave, and then the North Vietnamese took the whole thing anyway. So when you come down to the peninsula, you're talking about mass casualty.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a madman who's playing, because if he had a nuclear weapon and was able to get his rockets to go, don't you think it'd go further than what is going down on in space and out? Okay.
Yeah, they're not ready for that. They're not ready for that.
No, but Trump is telling you they are for a reason. And the reason is the Russia investigation. He has to change the story. Saxman, what's going on out there?
Listen, if you can get your left hand to distract your butt while your right hand go and do something else, you good. And that's pretty much what's going on. All this stuff is nothing but a distraction. And a lot of people just don't see it. Everything is by design, Sean. You got to let them know that. It's all set up by design.
So wait a minute.
Everything is going.
So wait a minute, Saxman. I want Tone the Stone, our 1980 crack baby. Got you there, didn't I? I want you. Tell me what you really think.
My mother never spoke crack.
I didn't say. See, there you go.
I know. I know where you
see
get
how
it.
he playing.
I know where you get it. I know where you get it.
You was born during the crack era, buddy.
Hey, Saxman.
I am a product of the crack era.
Why is it, Tone first reached his hands out, cuddled, and brought it up to his breast? Now he doesn't want to.
Well, because you keep trying to put words in my mouth. I wasn't specifically talking about me, even though I'm a product of that generation.
Ain't nobody saying you.
But when I made that comment months ago, when I
you
made
are
that
your
comment,
generation, aren't you?
I said that most of these guys that I grew up with, they were crack babies. They were raised by crackheads.
But ain't that your generation?
Yeah, that's my generation.
So how you gonna jump back? My generation was R&B and blues.
Well, see, because I'm confused if you refer to me specifically or you just talk about
I
my
understand
generation.
I understand that's your mind, your education. I understand it. Hey, Sax, he got that complex. You see the police car pull behind him. Yeah, and he starts shaking already.
No, not me. I've been learning how to play it off, how to play with the police.
He reached in his wallet and start talking about, did I run that light?
When they pull me over, I stare right at them in the rear view mirror and look at them like I'm running their background. Like I'm running to check on them.
but that's your era. See, wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute, Sax, man. I'm gonna help you get them today. That's your era. The 80s is your time. That's when you was in the field playing your thing, Big Daddy going on up there dancing on the skates, flopping. You was the shit.
Wild Midwest.
Right, you was the shit back then in California having fun. Crips, Bloods. Okay, so how you gonna jump out of your era, man? Come on.
Well, I think it's just the way you phrasing it, you know.
Why you can't handle the heat?
No. I mean,
it's sitting in Doug's seat.
You saying the crack baby generation? That's what you see.
Hey.
Well, that's what you mean, the crack baby generation. But you keep calling me a crack baby, and that's why I'm getting confused.
No, I didn't. I didn't call you a crack baby.
You ain't no crack baby. You just born
We
during
said
the
your
era.
era.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I was raised in an era where a lot of the young guys were crack babies. They were literally crack babies. They were raised by crack.
Let me ask you a question. If you was on the Titanic and the Titanic went down, they say you died on the Titanic, right?
Not if I was a survivor, they wouldn't.
You see that?
That was
You see that?
1912, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hey, Saxman, we got young Tone. You know what I think it is? He's sitting in Doug Million's seat. You know the hot seat is hot.
The hot seat, yeah.
It burned Doug up. You know, burned Doug up. Hey, bust him in the flames. What's up?
You're not gonna run me off. You ain't got to worry about it.
Hey, you gonna run Doug off. You ain't gonna run Tone off.
Stop the madness. Keep it 100. Hey, Facebook, YouTube, welcome. We sitting in here and we're talking about social injustice because, you know, Tone. Back to what I was asking you. I really want to hear what you got to say about Korea.
North Korea. Okay, so what I was trying to get at was, you know, you gave us the history and the politics and all that stuff, and that was what it was, and it still plays some effect on what's to this day, the whole backstory and everything. But with these two guys right now, Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un is a madman, and he's, you know, maybe he feels like he's got China behind him, he's got his back, so maybe he feels cocky.
Is he really a madman?
Yes, he is. Because,
he might be
because
playing.
all the posturing he's doing, if it really breaks out to an all-out war, you know, in this day and age, he doesn't have, you know, they might have some capabilities, but they don't have the arsenal. They don't have the artillery. They don't have the nuclear stuff to go against us. Not even with China behind them. Now, with Trump, going to Trump. Trump, you know, like I said this last week, or maybe it was a show or two ago. Yeah, it's all distraction it's all smoke and mirrors with Trump. He's trying to distract everybody. His politics is distracting everybody while he makes money, and then in the case of, you know, try to get the heat off of him with the Russia investigation and everything. But as a president, as a diplomatic person, or as a president, he should be diplomatic. He can't say the things that he says, you know, because that's posturing as well. That's taunting. That's instigating as well. And with him not being fighting in the wars, you know, they have to handle these things with much more grace and much more sophistication.
So let me ask you this:
than, you know, the talk that he's doing. Because I was going to say, you know, what what the Washington Post just published about Kim Jong-un, saying replying to Trump's comment saying that he will surely and definitely tame the mentally deranged U.S. dotard. I don't know what a dotard is, with fire. That was Kim Jong-un's response to Donald Trump's comment.
Well, you know what? If I was Kim Jong, I'd throw a counterpunch on Trump anyway, because Trump right now got so much headaches. Okay, and I look at this right here. North Korea's been barking for years. And you know China gonna give them the money. They talking about they not gonna do it, and they're gonna cut the trade in the banks, but you know they're gonna give them the money. And Saxman, you know also that.
Come on. You already know.
You a military man. Where did you do? Did you go over to the North Korea Peninsula, or you stayed stateside?
I stayed. I went to Germany, but I didn't. We didn't make it up in North Korea. I was over in Germany.
Well, it's South Korea that the servicemen get safe in.
South Korea.
My first duty station was supposed to be South Korea, but I got in trouble for smoking some weed, so they sent me to Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Oh, so that's why. Wait, if you were smoking weed,
no, I wanted to go to South Korea. They said that's a nice destination. You know, as far as shopping and stuff, things like that. Everybody who's been stationed in Korea,
say it's nice.
They said they loved it. They said they loved it. The only thing that you got to worry about, Sax, guys like you, the only thing you got to worry about when you go over to Korea is, you know, for those who can't handle themselves with the ladies, there was a disease going around. If you had unprotected sex over there was some disease, some STD that guys were getting where reportedly turn your stuff black and you weren't allowed to come back to America. So lucky for you, you didn't make it over there. Sax.
I'm gonna say this to you, Tom. That ain't the only thing to worry about. You have to worry about Charlie, baby.
Hey.
Oh well, no. Well, yeah, that's the whole purpose of being stationed over there because of that. But we talking about the smaller scale.
The black pajamas is when you have to worry about.
Hey, but let me ask you this, chat, Saxman. The chat room also want to know, but did you give us that answer? Because they saying you didn't give the answer for St. Louis. But I take that back because you did say who was in charge and what was going on, and then we did talk about Mega Everett, and I just didn't type it in there. So that's not on Saxman, but Tone. The question with me when I tell everybody about social injustice, that could be unfair labor practices.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to education to me,
mm-hmm.
okay? And that's where I set everything up at is if you properly educate everybody, you won't have this problem,
mm-hmm.
okay? Because in my era, the people before me weren't allowed to go to school
mm-hmm.
or get educated, okay? And then they forced us to go to school,
mm-hmm.
and they forced us to get education,
mm-hmm.
and then you had to go to college,
mm-hmm.
and you had to move on from college and go to a higher education. Now our kids are dropping out of school in the 5th, 6th grade.
And you know what? With your generation, that might have been an excuse, like when you weren't allowed to go to school, or if the access to the information. You said people being lied to and not being able to be educated on these things. Today, that's no excuse. Like, you don't even have to go to college. You can learn anything you want. And I'm not just saying that, you can, whatever you find on Google or on the internet, you believe. But if you really want to, like Robyn was just in here talking about banking, you can learn all about banking regulations and policies. You could get all of the information and learn it. Whether or not you still have to go through some protocol to get certified or whatever, get all those accolades and whatnot, but you can learn it. The knowledge is available to everybody in the world nowadays, so it's no excuse, with being taken advantage of. I mean, it still happens, but there's no excuse for not knowing.
You said he don't need to go to college or school to get education because you can learn on Google.
You said what, Sax?
You said you don't have to go to college or school to get a knowledge of an education. You don't have to go there, but you can learn that on Google.
Yeah, you definitely don't have to go to school to learn it. You can learn whatever you want. Anything they're gonna teach you in school, you can learn just by
they have online
doing
classes
research
for
on
college
the internet
now, right?
I mean that's still school, but I'm saying like without just cut school out of it. If you just want to learn something for yourself, you can learn all about it. If you take the initiative and you dedicate yourself and have the discipline to learn and do the research, you can learn about whatever you want this day and age without going to school. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that I don't.
That's what construction coming to learn, teach yourself. As long as you got internet, you can teach yourself. You don't need to actually go to school, sit in the classroom, learn the camaraderie, learn how to study together, study group.
No, I've never been a fan. No, Sax, I've never been a fan of like online schools myself. I mean, I take online classes, I do that, but I'm a fan of going to school and like being in a physical classroom,
because when
socializing
you go,
and building those social skills and stuff.
Right, you lose your social skills when you
lose your social skills.
Right. So I'm not saying that. I'm not saying cut school out. I'm just saying that you can learn whatever you want, Sax. Whatever you want to learn. You want to learn how to speak North Korean, so that way you could better socialize with the ladies when you go on vacation next time. You can learn Korean online. You don't have to go pay anybody to go to class. You can learn it. That's all I'm saying. You can learn anything you want in this day and age. There's no excuse for not knowing. Not knowing is not an excuse anymore. That's basically what.
Well,
the point I was trying to make.
Saxman, that's understandable. I'm cool with that. But as far as the situation in North Carolina with the president and all, it ain't gonna happen. It's just posturing. It's big talk. It's deflection from what's really going on.
What's not gonna happen? You said a war's not gonna happen?
It ain't gonna happen, man. That war. You see how fast the Afghanistan war went? What, 2 days, 3 days, over and done.
Well, but they've been over there.
But Saxman, 3 million Chinese came down and ran you back back down to the Felicity. Okay, so China's not going to let America sit on their back door. So that's not going to happen. But Saxman,
I hope you're right, Saxman. That
we glad to have you with us right here, and you out here with us. But we got to go pay a bill. But Saxman, our man on the beat, Saxman has just jumped in with us. And hey, you're gonna have to get into the studio, man. Take some time and come into the studio with us.
I'm still working on it, man. I'm still working on it. I'm trying to get my shifts together. I got a supervisor that's a serious knucklehead, and he won't let me change my shift. So I'm stuck.
You got to fight the power, Sax.
All right, we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. That was Saxman, our man on the beat. We'll be right back after we pay a bill.
You've been tuned in to Stop the Madness, keeping it 100 on STMK Radio 100. And now back to your host one more time, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone.
Hey, welcome back with us. Right now, we want to go into the chat room and we want to say Facebook Live. What's happening, James? Thank you for joining us. We was talking about North Korea, Trump, and Rocket Man, I think they call him now, right?
Rocket Man.
Hey, James, why don't you go on and give us a call? Come on in. Tell us what you think about Rocket Man and your boy Trump. Will they go to war? That's the question I want to Tone. Trump called him Rocket Man. What did he call Trump again?
I don't know. You know what? I don't know what he called him, but I would like to see. I think Kim Jong-un would beat Trump in a man-to-man fight, but hopefully Saxman is right and it doesn't escalate that far. But they don't want no parts of us, and so hopefully it don't get there.
You know, we was talking about finishing up on our part 2 panel discussion of social injustice. And everybody has to understand social injustice is what develop what's happening to go on to the thing, freedom of people's movements. And we're gonna go to the phone line, but it's the deprive a social movement of people such as police brutality and going. Hey, and from Cleveland, Ohio, we have on the phone line with us James. What's happening today?
Hey, how you doing, Sean? How's everybody over there?
Everybody doing just good. James, we're going to ask you the same question that we've been asking everybody in the chat room. Do you think that Trump and Rocket Man is actually going to do a dance?
Well, I certainly hope not. Let me say that. Trump is more than likely, I really can't believe this country gave him access to anything nuclear. But, Sean, this world has changed so much in my lifetime. Anything is possible at this point. I've just never seen it as this bad in the history of America, um, uh, where the possibility of nuclear war is extreme and very possible. Uh, Trump is a madman as far as I'm concerned. Him and Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong whatever. These guys are wrapped in tight. And, you know, this is the one of the most fundamental reasons why people should take elections very seriously. Because, you know, whether it's Russian interference or whether it's just apathy of the American voter, this is the result we have to deal with.
And you're right. We said that elections have consequences, and I was just talking about that the last show and this show, because if you look at it right now, the Republicans are trying to destroy everything President Obama did, and now they're going back after health care. And they making it to where people in their party is going over country, and they making it to where you're going to have to vote for Trump's health care to give him a win. That's all he wants, to win.
It seems like at this point they just want to get any type of bill together they can just to pass it, just to get, to repeal Obamacare.
But
That's all they
but
care
James, I want to say this because they're getting ready to destroy the number one employer in the country right now. I'm an American. When the Health Care Act came in, the Affordable Health Care Act, so many people was hired in the medical field that if this bill passed at the end of Friday, I think they're going to have to lay off.
About there's going to be consequences, and quite frankly, it should be embarrassing to the Republicans and the Trump administration that they've taken this as far as they have. You know, and I really try to understand the concept of what they're trying to accomplish, and it seems to all go back to the Koch brothers, who are fundamentally run the Republican Party. It's a good old boy network. It serves no useful purpose what they're trying to accomplish. When we look at other nations around the globe, like France or Canada, they're able to take care of their citizens, every last one of them. Here in America, it's about money, and it's about people getting rich off of.
It's the haves and have-nots, and I keep telling everybody this. This is not about color, and everybody needs to stop going on this color issue because it's not about color. The Russians did fake news. Everybody's looking at Facebook. And as we sit here today on this show, Stop the Madness, Keep It 100, we're broadcasting out to about 40,000 people on internet radio. It's good to have Facebook and your friends to follow you, to show you some love. But we're talking to people all over the nation. Cleveland is only less than 1% of our market. So when you look at that, I've been talking to people from West Virginia, the lower southern states. They gain to lose more than people of color or anything. Okay, they're poor people just like the people of color are poor people. The coal country, the wives are getting pensions and coal benefits off of the American Affordable Care Act that they're going to lose. Existing conditions. Okay, what family wants to sit here today? And James, and I'm gonna let you jump in here. Is that if I had to choose between my daughter getting an operation and paying the lights and the gas, I mean, come on, who want to live like that again?
Well, Sean, it's funny that you mentioned that because I do know folks down in West Virginia, and you're absolutely correct. They're the ones who are going to suffer the most. And they're the strong supporters of Donald Trump. West Virginia was certainly a Trump state. And it really just befuddles my mind the thinking that they do in order to put Trump in this position. But let me say this: Republicans are pretty smart. They use people's fear. If you look at their politics, it's the politics of fear. They scare people half to death and make them think that what's really good for them is bad. People suck it up as if, and coal is a big thing down in West Virginia. They blame Obama for the demise of coal, when in fact, in reality, coal is a dying source of energy. It's hard for me to even try to rationalize what people are thinking. But the bottom line is, if Trump manages to obliterate Obamacare, not only the folks in West Virginia are going to suffer, people across this nation are going to suffer.
Well, not only that, because James, we also talk with some senators and stuff, especially here from Ohio. Ohio was one of the biggest markets where medical people was hired also. And you're talking about realigning 1/3 of our economy and just hoping that it works out. And when you look at the Affordable Care Act, it's in the condition it's in right now because of all the cuts they made and safe fails that they took out in order to make it not work, okay? And it's on life support, but it's still working. Now, when this other bill passed and the money goes to the insurance companies, because that's where it's going, and I'm going to tell everybody, if you're working and your employer's paying you all that money, you're getting ready to get hit. And if you're not working and you retired, you really getting ready to get hit, because right now you're talking about anywhere from $12,000 to $13,000 out of your pocket expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that we need to look for.
No doubt about it. And those folks who do work and who do have health care plans, let's make no mistake about it, they're going to be impacted by the result of whatever this particular Congress do today. Employers are feeling the squeeze as well. When you take people out of a system, that cost has got to be made up somewhere, and that cost is going to fall on those who are working. Some of the folks that we have right now with Cadillac benefits, whether you're a government employee or you're a private employee, that cost is going to shift your way. Obamacare was the best alternative to a bad situation. It wasn't perfect, and I'm not going to try to give you this grand illusion that Obamacare was perfect, but it was the best solution at the time when the issue of health care rose its ugly head. A single-payer system. Common sense tells me, I don't know what it's telling the Republican Party or others, but a single-payer is the only system that would be cost-effective, minimize increases. Well, we wouldn't see double-digit increases. We would see single-digit increases going to such a system. And the more people that you have in a system, that retards the cost. Common sense.
And that's James from out of Cleveland, Ohio. James, we'd like to thank you for calling Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. And you know that we always appreciate your opinion. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Facebook, YouTube, show James some love. And earlier, James, thank you for being with us, my brother.
Thanks, James. Always a pleasure.
I appreciate you guys giving me a moment. Thank you and enjoy your night.
You too.
Now, when you look at this Tony Stone, and it's that time.
Fan base is big, I can't lose. Sugar bow down, I'm the next to rule, but I'ma stay on the cool, remain on the under, cause like Andre 3000, your boy's ice cold. Ain't no limit to the gimmicks and ways to make money. No limit to the just to act funny when you get that cake, cause you spit that way. They may love you tomorrow when they hate you today, but yo, that's the way the story goes, so I was told. Follow with the ramble down the yellow brick road. Please believe at the end, ain't no pie to go. Just some platinum beats from the Cleveland streets.
Tony Stone, Facebook Live, YouTube. Denise is in the house on Facebook. YouTube, Michael Wilkins out of LA. And Michelle Jackson in Boston, Massachusetts has showed up. Hey, we thank all of y'all for coming with us on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. Next week, we are going to have a young lady that's going to come on and really, really tell us her story about a tragic incident that happened. And we're going to talk about that as we did earlier. Black men supposed to be protecting our kids and looking out for our women and then turning around and raping them. That's going to be an issue that we all going to cover next week, and we're going to hear from a young lady that has a story to tell us so it won't happen again. Tony Stone, what you got to say to our people before we get up out of here and roll on down the road?
Well, you know, I was trying to think of some lighthearted to take us out on a happier note. And that was some heavy stuff that you just kind of briefed everybody about for next week. So in the spirit of that, I'm going to keep it, people, let's take, James just talking about healthcare, this whole healthcare act. People, let's start taking this stuff serious. Politics, the people that we're voting into office, the healthcare, all these issues going on, the situation with North Korea and us possibly getting involved in another conflict. Let's start taking this stuff more serious, everybody, and let's change the tides. That's coming from Tone to Stone. Stop the Madness. Keep it 100 radio.
Hey, I'm your host, Sean L. I thank you all for coming on to the show with us. Boston, Atlanta, New York. Russell from New York, thank you for showing up with us. Louisiana, New Orleans, our family down there in Savannah and ATL. Out in Arizona, D, thank you all for coming with us on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. And I'm your host, Sean L. And as always, peace.
And I also wanted to say thanks to Robyn again for coming out. It was a pleasure having her in the studio.
Yes, we'd like to thank Robyn Carroll Cunningham for coming out with us, the nation's only black woman who held the position as VP in a major financial institution.
Executive VP.
Catch us on Reprieve or on demand and listen to that interview because she has some good things to tell you.
Definitely.
Later.
You've been listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 on STMK Radio 100.